is the Jesse Kelly Show, final hour of the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Tuesday. So we'll talk about this seditious six. I see an angle here. Scott Bessent's on TV talking about $2,000 stimmy checks, Democrats, illegal immigrants, how they use race as a shield for their communism, emails, so much more coming up in the final hour of the Jesse Kelly Show. Now, we're not going to recap everything on the senators, the congressmen who put out the video. Don't follow any illegal orders. And they've been catching all kinds of heat for it, and they've been feeling the heat for it because it looked bad. It did look very bad. But walk with me on something here. Let's just do a little mental experiment, just you and me. I was doing this last night to myself, so now I'm going to do it to you. Democrats have some branding problems, if we're being honest. What are some branding problems the Democrats have nationally? Well, kind of anti-American. They're aware of that. That's why they start so many Democrat veterans groups. They're aware that they have a patriotism problem. They know it looks bad, okay? Anti-white. That's fairly obvious to anybody looking. And the Democrat mouthpieces don't do themselves any favors when they get up and say things like this.
So tell me why you are taking those people out of their communities. They are our neighbors. They are our friends. And frankly, they contribute to the fabric of this country. They are what make this country great.
Talking about illegals. Anybody talk like that about white people? Anybody say anything like that about nobody? Okay? So Democrats have an anti-white problem, an anti-America problem. They have an anti-male problem. Men left the Democrat Party in droves last election. They have lost men. Unless you are an effeminate husband of a communist woman who has been completely castrated by this point in time, you are well aware that the Democrat Party hates you. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Remember when Letitia James started that chant in the middle of the street? No one even caused a ruckus. All right. Well, that's kind of a big deal if you're a Democrat trying to get elected nationally, isn't it? You're viewed as anti-American, anti-white, anti-male. There are all kinds of Americans who love America. They might vote for you if they didn't think you were that way. There are all kinds of men in this country. Maybe they don't love Republicans. They might vote for you, but they feel like you hate them. All kinds of white people. They might vote Democrats. Maybe they don't like Republican policies at all, but they're pretty aware by this point in time that white people are persona non grata. What's Mark Kelly? You know anything about Mark Kelly? He's one of the main senators in that video. United States Senator from Arizona. I ran for Congress actually against his wife, Gabrielle Giffords. I don't know him. I've met him once. What is he? Astronaut? Pilot? White? Wears the uniform? Now, let's set all that stuff aside for a moment. Just walk with me here. We've talked many times, you and me, about what Democrat voters want the most. What is it Democrat voters today want the most? Every poll has said it. You've heard me discuss it many times with you. I'm sure you've talked about it with your friends. What do Democrat voters want more than anything? It's not the economy. It's not border stuff, not health care stuff. What do Democrat voters in every single poll want the most? And by the way, it's not close. Whatever the second place thing is never even close to this one thing. What do they want? They want somebody who will fight Trump. Somebody who will stand up to Trump. Now, I got an email. Just going to read it for you. This guy, I'm sure he lives in Arizona, got a text message. It's one of those campaign funding text messages, the auto texts, the ones you unsubscribe to just like I do. This was the text. Quote, "The Department of Defense is coming after me because they don't like what I have to say. Let's call it what it is. Political persecution. When I was 22, I swore an oath to the Constitution. I've upheld that oath every day since. You can bet this was ordered by Donald Trump and carried out by Pete Hegseth." Anyway, so on and so forth. I need you to chip in $10 whenever you can afford. So, if I was the Democrat Party and I was thinking about who I wanted to run against J.D. Vance for president in the year 2028, Mark Kelly's looking like a worthy candidate, isn't he? Mark Kelly's white. Mark Kelly has worn the uniform. NASA. Mark Kelly. I'm not saying he solves your anti-man, anti-America, anti-white branding problem, but he helps. He sure as heck helps. Going to be difficult labeling him anti-American when he's standing up there in those Navy whites with his medals, which are all out of order, pinned to his chest. Gonna be difficult when he talks about NASA and I went to space. Especially with older Americans, do not discount at all the power NASA holds over the psyche of Americans who lived through the space race and watched as our patriotic, brave astronauts were dying and trying to. People have watched it. And now, Mark Kelly, because of this horrible video, this seditious video they put out, Donald Trump has raged against them publicly multiple times in recent days. I think Mark Kelly might run for president now. I do. I think Mark Kelly might run for president now. I'm not saying I'm right. Oh, by the way, he's also from a critical swing state. He is an elected United States senator who probably cheated, but got elected in the critical swing state of Arizona. Every checkbox, if you're a Democrat and you're looking at the 2028 race logically, every checkbox is checked with Mark Kelly. What, Chris? Okay, so Chris said he's not going to make it out of a primary, and he brought up AOC. Now, what did we just say, Chris, about what Democrats value the most? How many times has Donald Trump publicly raged against AOC? He's currently raging against Mark Kelly every time. And I'm not saying don't speak out against Mark Kelly or what Mark Kelly did. I'm not a fan. I can't stand him. And every time Donald Trump or Hegseth or anybody, anytime one of them speaks out against Mark Kelly, they elevate his branding in Democrat circles because the anti-American, anti-Trump communist, we know those people as Democrats, they sit at home and they see that and they say, maybe that's our champion. Maybe that's finally our guy. He's the one Trump's going after. Trump's trying to execute him. This is our guy. We are assigning what you just did, Chris, it's not ridiculous, not illogical. But you're assigning logic to people who set that aside for Trump hatred 10 years ago. It's bonkers how consistent it is. Every single poll of Democrat voters, when you purely poll them, what they care the most about is not socialism. It's not communism. It's not even having an open border or aborting every baby on earth. And those are just side issues for them. The number one issue for Democrats in this country is fighting Trump, stopping Trump, going to war with Trump. Well, how much does it help the Democrat, whoever that Democrat may be, if Donald Trump publicly goes to war with him? What would it do right now? What would it be doing to Gavin Newsom's branding if Donald Trump had 10 social media posts over the last 10 days talking about how much he hated Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom is awful and Gavin Newsom should be arrested and Gavin Newsom this? Let me go ahead and clue it in for you. Gavin Newsom's stock would be going through the roof in Democrat circles. I think Mark Kelly's going to run for president. If he wasn't before, he might be now. And let's hope inflation isn't bad when he starts
Would
it.
a $2,000 tariff dividend check going to people be inflationary?
Well, there are a lot of things that are going to happen next year.
Is that one of
them? And that could be one of them. And again, maybe we could persuade Americans to save that.
What? Our plan is to do an extremely inflationary $2,000 stimmy check. Of course, not for anyone making over $100,000 a year. and then just ask Americans to put it in the bank? I hope that's not the plan for next year. All right. Someone wants to talk a little H-1Bs and stuff before we get to those things. We'll get to some of this fabric of America talk, being as how Jasmine Crockett just brought it up. I mean, you heard her.
People be texting.
It is the Jesse Kelly Show. Do not forget to email the show what you're thankful for tomorrow and your love, your hate, your death threats. Jesse@jessekellyshow.com. So there's something we always have to remember. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because we talked about it before. I have emails I want to get to. Communists bring in foreigners en masse because they're trying to replace patriotic people with those who have no loyalty or love for the country. It's not more complicated than that. It's not compassion. It's none of those things. You love America. Therefore, you want to stop the people who hate America. The people who hate America have come up with a solution for you. And that solution is simple as going to find people who can be bought for a welfare check and a free hotel room in New York City. That's why they all talk like this.
Where is the rule of law in the United States today?
It's a lawless United States. The Department of Homeland Security should just change its name because that's not what they are doing right now as they chase our immigrant community. But we have to, as Democrats, make it clear to Republicans as we seek.
The entire Democrat Party for the last 10 months has freaked out because Donald Trump's deporting people. Think about that. Deporting illegals. I know it's already baked in the cake. Wrap your mind around what that means. One of the two major political parties has spent every day raging that we're deporting people who are here illegally. That's quite a thing. And then you have the Ilhan Omars of the world. It's not just the illegals.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always...
At the August trial for Abdi Fattah Yusuf, the jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located. Yusuf and his wife, Lol Ahmed, were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant, or PCA, scam.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive.
At the August trial for Abdi Fattah Yusuf, the jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located. Yusuf and his wife...
Yeah. Hey, Jesse. I just heard an advertisement on your show for MS Now starring, among others, Rachel Maddow. How is the Rabid Liberal Network... How is it that a rabid liberal network is advertising on your show? I'm confused. I thought you only allowed advertisements for products and causes you believed in. What am I missing? Well, here's what you're missing. We cover this again for those who missed it before and the kids in the back. I do not own these airwaves. Premier owns these airwaves. They graciously lend it to us for 3 hours a day. They've given me complete freedom to accept and reject any advertiser I want. But all of the 3 hours is not me. If you hear my voice, then that's something that I have said yes to, meaning it's something I use. If you don't hear my voice, listen, in radio, okay, so let me explain. Let's say there's a 20-minute lifespan of radio. We'll just go 20 minutes. You're going to have 11, 12 minutes of that at the opening, probably going to be talking. Then I'll probably do a read during it. So that's another minute. Then you're going to have probably ads during the commercial break where it'll belong to me, or belong to the show, I should say. I'll have another 1 or 2 that are in there. But then there are another 2 or 3 minutes in that I'm not part of. We don't control it all. That's way above us. And then we come back and do the show. That's how it works in radio. All right? That's how it works in radio. Jesse, I was listening to your show talking about H-1B visas. I don't think the issue is that Americans are too dumb. It's that Americans are too lazy. They figured out they can make more money sitting on their butt doing nothing. Okay. Are there some Americans who are too lazy? Of course. I had someone say that to me this weekend. How are we going to deport all the people in the fields? What, are Americans going to do that? I did that. I grew up my entire life doing physical labor, working with my hands. Did you? I bet you either did or know someone who did. Where in the world did we get this idea that Americans are too dumb or lazy to do physical labor? Americans were doing physical labor in this country since we founded this freaking country. Americans are perfectly capable of doing physical labor. We don't have to import foreign slaves to do it, and that's a ridiculous excuse, and it's almost always coming from wealthy people with a housemaid they pay $5 an hour. That's insane. Are there bunches of lazy Americans? Of course, there's always been bunches of lazy people in any society. There are all kinds of wonderful, hardworking Americans, and combine that with this. Start taking away welfare checks. You'd be shocked how hard you work when your tummy's a-rumbling. You'd be shocked how hard you work when the power gets turned off because you haven't paid your bill. You'd be amazed at how hard you end up working when you have to. I completely reject the notion that Americans are too lazy to do it. But look, and by the way, paying everybody to stay home during COVID didn't help that whole situation either. Now we've got to reprogram a bunch of people because we shut down the freaking economy for a virus. Anyway, I don't want to get fired up. I'm going to be fine. I'm fine, Chris. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Remember, you can download it on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, or no, Apple Podcasts. They said there's no iTunes anymore. Chris, can you look into that? That doesn't sound right. What? You don't have an iPhone? We should get someone with an iPhone around here to do some research on some stuff. Hey, Devil Dog, my name is Everett. I live in North Carolina, and as you know, ICE has been around more lately. I work delivering coffee and tea to restaurants and hotels, and I've paid notice that quite a lot of them are keeping their doors locked and screening people as they come in so they don't get surprised by ICE agents. I think people forget. I think people really do genuinely lose sight of how slave economies work. It's really how any economy works, but let's talk about slave economies. You get used to it. You simply build it into your system, your economy. If you work with slaves, or in this case, extremely low-wage foreign labor. So if you're a hotel, remember, hotels are a business like anything else. You have to pay for this and pay for that. You have these expenses, and this month coming in. So if you've chosen to hire illegals, you got illegals working in the kitchen and illegals doing the landscaping, because we all know all those are people who are illegal. And you have all these illegals here and illegals there and illegals there. That has become woven into your business model. Well, wait a minute. We only have to pay the mower $3 an hour, right? After all, we'll ship him back to Nicaragua if he complains. This is part of what every slave economy has had to go through in history when they were faced with the prospect of losing their slaves for one reason or the other. It becomes debilitating. How are we supposed to get by? And the wild part is they always end up being okay in the end. Economies will work out. The South was all kinds of panicked about that pre-World War II, pre-Civil War, during the Civil War, post-Civil War. We built our economy, or at least portions of it, on slaves, African slaves doing the labor. We're not going to be able to survive. But of course they did. The economy changed, but they did. Look, it's way more than just North Carolina. So much of this country is built on it now because communists, with the help of Republicans like James Lankford of Oklahoma, Communists have spent decades bringing in as many foreign slaves as humanly possible. Now Americans are used to it being $20 to mow the lawn. If you're running anyone in the service industry, I called out hotels, but this is restaurants. This is so many of the places that require physical labor. And of course, these people will try to tell you to their blue in the face that, well, Americans won't do these jobs. That's not true. Americans were doing them long before the illegals got here. I mean, these people were committed to bringing as many in as possible.
The Biden administration allegedly pressured airports to house migrants, despite warnings it could compromise safety and put travelers at risk. That, according to a new bombshell Senate report that says the Biden administration directed federal agencies to find airport facilities that could be used as shelters or migrant processing facilities. At least 11 airports were allegedly asked to find space, including Chicago's O'Hare and JFK here in New York.
They brought in as many foreigners as they possibly could, and they spread them all across the country. Well, those people are eventually going to go find work. At least some of them will. They're going to go find work. They're not probably going to be paid as an American citizen would be paid. And the business that chooses to hire them so they can save a few bucks here and save a few bucks there, that business owner is going to convince themselves that they can't survive without them. Terrible, terrible, terrible state of affairs. Jesse, I appreciate how you help us understand how the communists behave. Tonight, this is a couple nights ago, you were giving us your insights about the creeps who made the video, how they are now the victims. I understand this is their MO. What I wish you could add to these discussions is, what do we do now? Not just what their game is, what can we do? What actions can we take? Well, this is something I've talked to you about before when it comes to Democrats, remember. I always talk about what we can do when it comes to us getting political power, us taking the culture back. We always discuss those solutions on the show. But as I've said, all you can do is be aware of communist tactics and ensure they don't work on you. You cannot reform them. You do not have the power to reform the Democrat Party. Only Democrat voters have the power to demand that. And as of now, there's no appetite among Democrats for the Democrat Party to moderate or stop being insane. When you see a video or audio of a bunch of Democrat senators calling for members of the CIA in the military to essentially refuse orders, then that's what they were saying. I realize they tried to legally dance their way around it, but everyone knows that's exactly what they were saying. When you hear that, when you see that, you're mortified. But remember how different you are than the communist. That's what the communist wants to hear. This woman, we've been playing her. She's running for, it's a seat in the Nashville area of Tennessee. By the way, this is a red area. It's one we should keep. Trump won this district by like 20 points. It's one we should keep. So it's going to be, we need to turn out. But when you hear this woman say things like this,
I hope all of you, so one, I'll have a podcast on it, and I highly recommend, like, if it's been difficult for all of you to imagine a world without police, please tune in to maybe not this episode, but the next one, because I'll talk about, things I'm learning and growing as an organizer, because
What? Democrats want that. Imagine a world without police. You're horrified. Your liberal Aunt Peggy wants that. When you hear her say things like this.
My therapist always asks me.
My therapist. It's too good.
My therapist always asks me to transcribe my dreams when they happen. And the recurring dream I've had is standing up in a cafeteria full of women. I don't know why I was there or whatever. And saying, I don't want children, I want power. And just screaming it at the top of my lungs.
That turns you off. Your liberal Aunt Peggy loves it. When you hear her say things like this.
I think as an organizer and as an activist, like, we really have an opportunity here in this country to talk about what type of policy, progressive policies we want to see as young women. And I think we have, as birther, as women who can give birth, men and women who can give birth, we could maybe leverage that.
You're mortified by that. Men can't give birth. What? Your liberal Aunt Peggy loves it. A different species of Democrat exists now, brainwashed from the university system to the media, brainwashed into being the most vicious, insane little communists, and they want different things. We used to talk about this when Biden was president, when he was running for president. In him or Dome or anybody, they'd get up and they'd say the kookiest things in the world. And it almost seemed like they were speaking to a completely different species of people. Because they were. They were. Tough place to be. Hey, Jesse, my cousin and I tried your burger recipe, and it was too much. But I still use the Chipotle Tabasco and cumin on my burgers, pepper jack cheese, so on and so forth. Is this acceptable? My burger was too much. It was too much for you?
Why are you gay?
It's too much, too much. That's pathetic. Don't ever, look, you admitted that to me. All right, I'll give it to you. Don't ever say that to anyone else in your life again. Don't ever admit that to anyone else. Guys, you don't always have to be honest. That's just something chicks say in Hallmark movies. There are some things you need to keep to yourself. If you had a Jesse Kelly burger and you thought to yourself, this is too much, put on your Lindsey Graham pajamas and just go for a walk. All right? What, Chris? It is the Jesse Kelly Show, final segment of the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Tuesday. Don't forget to email in what you're thankful for and whatever else you would like for tomorrow, jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Back to what we were discussing today about how filthy and corrupt the system is and how Trump and his administration, they're getting the ball rolling, but it's just the beginning, not the end. I want you to listen to this. This is the U.S. Army Secretary, Dan Driscoll. I'm frustrated, but just listen to this.
We did a patrol with some candidates who were trying to get what's called their Ranger tab. The remarkable thing to me was you could not tell the difference between the men and the women carrying the big rucksacks and the huge weapons up that hill. Everyone has the exact same haircut. Everybody's wearing the exact same clothes. There is no rank. And everyone stinks. They have been in the woods for a couple of days.
That's a total lie. Ever talk to somebody who's been with the female recruits at Ranger School? Ranger School is one of the more brutal schools out there. I think it's 50% washout rate, I believe, if I remember right. Brutal. You know that they adjusted all the standards to help the females get through, right? Women are built differently than men, physically. Doesn't make them worse, but certainly makes them worse Army Rangers. Don't have the legs, don't have the hips, you don't have the chest, you don't have the shoulders, you don't have the muscle mass, and you shouldn't. And you shouldn't desire for that. But this guy's still in the Army. This guy's still running the Army. We've got a long way to go. All right, we've got a long way to go. This is only the beginning. Jesse, I read your book, The Anti-Communist Manifesto, and it opened my eyes up about the communists. I feel like every American needs to read it. I feel that same way, Chris. What? Chris, I do. Therefore, I purchased 9 more copies and passed them out to people to read. I would encourage your listeners to do the same. I would too. I would. What, Chris? I'm encouraging people like she's saying. Also, give them as Christmas gifts. Oh, I love this idea. For those you know that like to read and even know how to read. We need to get this book out because, honestly, thank you for that. And the reason I read this was not just to completely brag about myself in every way I possibly could. I know, Chris. Chris, do I need to remind you?
People be texting.
One of the things I was doing in New York City is I was finishing that project I had told you about a while ago. It's not totally done. What project was that? Remember, I was going to write another chapter to the Anti-Communist Manifesto. And then publisher kind of threw a fit about it, understandably, because we were going to give it out free. And the publisher said, hey, you can't put a chapter on the book that we published, but whatever. They threw a legal fit. Totally got it. We decided, well, what if we did something a little different. So instead of a chapter, we are creating basically a booklet, okay? A booklet, not another anti-communist manifesto, something very, very small. Hopefully, one of those things that you ever printed off, get you fit right in your back pocket, right? One of those little quick, easy to understand things. No, Chris, it's not 9 chapters. No. I was up there trying to put the finishing touches on that. I'm not going to sell it, by the way. I think the plan is right now, because I want everyone just to have it. I think our plan is going to be to email it out to people. I don't even know that we can accept email addresses yet. Chris, can we accept the email addresses anywhere? Okay, so don't worry about it yet. I'm going to keep you posted. It's not coming out tomorrow either. Our plan is to get it out emailed for free. I don't know. We discussed up there possibly printing it or selling a printed version if people want a printed version, but that's not the intention, is to sell it or make some money on it. Just trying to get something in someone's hands, easily digestible, simple, something you can hand out to somebody for free. I mean, there aren't many things you can get out there for free. So there. Full disclosure, that was really the major reason, but that was one of the things I had to do in New York City. All right? All right. Brandon Johnson said this.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence.
You can, in fact, incarcerate your way out of violence. They already did it in El Salvador. There are people in our society. It's not that we should keep everyone in prison forever. There are a lot of guys who've reformed themselves, probably a lot of people who shouldn't be there. But there are also guys who are very obviously not fit for society, and they should be locked in cages forever. About the time you're notching your 30th arrest, they should lock you up and throw away the key because you're not fit to live in society. Through a variety of means, mainly race communism, we have put into place a system in this country where these violent career criminals continue to get let out because the communists wants them raping and murdering people, thus destabilizing society. You can incarcerate your way out of a problem. You take the very small percentage of violent people, throw them in prison, and society, it's almost like magic. It gets better and wonderful, and you don't have to get raped when you're jogging in the park in the morning.
And now,
here's a headline.
you know the thing. Headlines we didn't get to.
People be texting.
Adolf Hitler set for a landslide election victory. None of you Nazis out there should get your hopes up. It's just some company or some country called Namibia. He's a lot darker than the original Adolf Hitler, and I don't think he's going to be commanding armies of conquest. It does show you how different other cultures are, though, that someone looked at their baby boy and said, he looks like an Adolf Hitler to me. And maybe it was mom who suggested it, and dad was all, you know what? He does. Absolutely. Christmas markets open across Germany with enhanced security. A reminder that you do not need enhanced security at your Christmas market when you stop foreigners from coming into your country. Trump will visit Beijing in April and host Xi later in 2026. Probably benefits all of us for this deal to get worked out between the U.S. and China. I'm not necessarily confident it will get worked out. Nevertheless, we shall see. All right. We're going to do it again tomorrow before Thanksgiving, all right? Send me that email, jesse@jessekellyshow.com. That's all.